Hey, Mia, long time no see. Really? I knew you worked here, but I never had a reason to come to this hospital. This is pediatrics, after all. Then, let's get on with the shot. You're not holding back, are you? Sebastian, are you scared of injections? Not scared at all. Oh, you're brave. To have my son vaccinated, I came to the hospital where my junior colleague works. Everything was ready, and the needle of the injection was slowly approaching my younger son's arm. He tried to act tough, but my son had a nervous look. Just when the needle was about to reach my son's arm, my smartphone suddenly started ringing. Mia, please turn off your phone. Sorry. It's from the office. Don't worry about me, go ahead. I forced a smile and stepped outside to the front of the hospital to return the call to my office. Although I had left my son about to receive his injection, I wasn't worried because he wasn't scared, and the doctor was my junior colleague. After a few minutes on the phone, I hurried back to the examination room, but my colleague was waiting in front of another room near the previous examination room. Mia, please come this way. I followed as instructed, entering the room. It seemed to be a different examination room. However, there was no one inside. Where's Sebastian? My colleague entered the room, sat down on a chair, and looked at me with serious, almost glaring eyes. Sebastian is waiting in the previous examination room with a nurse. What's the matter? You look so serious. Did you find something seriously wrong with Sebastian? While I was still standing at the entrance, my colleague tapped the chair in front of me. I sat down as prompted. Not knowing what my colleague was about to say, and my heart started pounding loudly with nervousness. After a few seconds of listening to my own heartbeat, my colleague spoke gravely. Divorce Theodore. What? Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to sound so harsh. From here on, I'm not speaking as a doctor, but as a friend. That's why I asked the nurse to leave. Are you ready to hear this? Shocked by the unexpected advice, I left the hospital after making sure my son was okay and then dropped him off at the kindergarten. Then, I went straight to the city hall to get divorce papers. I'm Mia. I'm 38 and work in an office. In contrast, Theodore, who is 7 years older than me, works as an IT consultant for a multinational company. Our incomes are as different as night and day. Since I'm in my 40s, people often assume I've been married a long time. However, Theodore and I only started dating after I turned 30, and we've only been married for 3 years. We got married when I was 35, so there were concerns about whether we could have children. But there's no need to worry. Ugh, Jacob, you're such an idiot. It's your fault for being there. Anna. Sebastian is crying. I think Jacob did something again. Can you check on them? I can't step away from making breakfast. Got it. Chloe, did you grab your lunch bag? Not yet. It disappeared. You always misplace stuff. Look for it yourself. My sister won't help me. Mom, can you help me look? I'm also preparing everyone's lunches. Mom, it's okay here, so please help her. If you leave it to her alone, it would take 12,000 years to find it. This place is a battlefield. Right now, I am on the battlefield. Every morning, our home is filled with shouts and cries, and hustle and bustle are the norm. The only calm one amid this chaos is my husband. He enjoys his coffee elegantly, unconcerned with the commotion around him. When I married my husband, he already had children from previous marriages. In an era where 1 in 3 marriages ends in divorce, having stepchildren isn't uncommon. However, my husband was divorced 7 times with 5 children. Maya, the eldest daughter, is 17 and from his first marriage. No children came from the second marriage. Anna, 13, and Jacob, 11, are from his third marriage. No children again from the 4th and 5th marriages, and Chloe, 7, is from the 6th. Sebastian, 5, is from the 7th marriage. Being a first-timer with no experience in childbirth myself, I was naturally overwhelmed by suddenly having 5 children. In the early days of our marriage, I was clueless and flustered about what to do. But my elder daughters, Maya and Anna, taught me a lot. Jacob is wearing his uniform over his gym clothes, is that okay? In our family, we wear gym clothes under on days we have PE even in the summer. Why? It's like an underwear replacement. With so many kids, it reduces the laundry. Underwear replacement, so they put the uniform back on after PE? Doesn't the uniform get dirty? Everyone ends up dirtying their uniforms anyway. If you don't want to dirty your uniform, you just have to be careful not to dirty the gym clothes, right? This way, they become more conscious of not getting their clothes dirty. It's also a teaching moment, huh? Exactly. I nod significantly, intrigued by the family's ingenuity. The children cooperate in daily life without fussing over having different mothers. Maya and Anna act as one mother together, Chloe and Jacob support them, and Sebastian learns by observing his older siblings. The reason the children are so well behaved is that my husband has no time to deal with household matters. Well, I'm off. Amid the noise, my husband quietly finishes his coffee and leaves the house without any concern for the kids. When people hear about someone being divorced 7 times, they often think, must be something wrong with the husband, right? But the reason for the divorces isn't that he's a bad person. He's been working hard for the kids. Before we got married, he told me with a somewhat cheerful expression, no matter how much I work, with the kids around, I can't save any money. That's why I'm also investing as a side job, but money doesn't increase the way you'd hope, you know? It seems the kids understand that he's working hard for them, and they've started taking care of themselves. Since getting married, I've been surrounded by a serious husband and wonderful children, and I'm really leading a fulfilling life. However, this may have been because I was blissfully unaware of reality, given the security of getting married just before turning 40 and having no experience with childbirth or childrearing. 3 years into our marriage, and our eldest daughter, Maya, is now a high school sophomore, and it's time to start thinking about her future. So, I brought it up with my husband. About Maya's college. College? Has she decided where she wants to apply? It's only been decided that she'll apply to a science and technology university. I guess letting her go where she wants is the best option, but I thought we should get our thoughts together on things like tuition and if she wants to live on her own. In that case, just let me know where she decides to apply. I'll leave it up to you. Again? It was the same with her junior high school. College directly affects her career prospects, and I'd like to hear your thoughts too. I think wherever Maya thinks is best is fine. That's my opinion. I'm already overwhelmed just earning enough to keep the kids fed. You handle the rest and do as you see fit. Seemingly unwilling to discuss it further, he left the living room, leaving me behind. I tried to call him back, but the words caught in my throat when he mentioned work. He's working hard for the kids. Being able to live comfortably with 5 children is thanks to him, something I couldn't achieve with my earnings alone. That's why whenever he mentions work, I find myself at a loss for words. I decided to start by researching how to choose a science and technology university on the internet. It appears that the reasons for his 6th and 7th divorces were related to his focus on work, which left childrearing entirely to his ex-wives. With so many children, the ex-wives couldn't handle it and ended up abandoning their parental duties. In my case, both Maya and Anna are already grown up and are more like mothers themselves. That's probably why we're managing, but if they had been younger, I might have given up too. I thought about this and expressed my gratitude to Maya and Anna for their daily efforts. A few days later, triggered by an event, I found myself learning more about parenting. Sister! Jacob took the game controller. I was still playing. You were playing all this time, right? Jacob was waiting his turn, so you need to be a bit patient. No way! I was in the middle. Having 5 kids means our house isn't just a battlefield in the morning. The children often squabble at night too. Today, it was the older and younger boys fighting over a game controller. It seems the younger boy wanted to play so badly he started throwing a tantrum. Ignoring his sister's words, he kept screaming and yelling. As I thought this noisy situation would continue for a while, my husband, who had been sitting with me on the living room sofa, stood up and walked over to the younger son. "You're being too loud. Come here." My husband grabbed Sebastian's arm and took him to the children's room he shares with Jacob. His expression was clearly angry. I had never seen my husband angry at the children before, so his expression made me feel a bit scared. "I'm sorry. I'll stop playing the game." Sebastian seemed to sense his father's anger too and resisted crying while being dragged away. But he couldn't match an adult's strength, and he was pulled along like a dog that stops in the middle of a walk but is tugged by the leash. "Don't bother your sister. She's always looking after you." As the door to the children's room slammed shut, I heard my husband's yelling voice, which I had never heard before. Worried, I decided to check on the children's room. Then, Mia grabbed my arm. "Dad and Sebastian will be fine. But it's kind of a rite of passage for us to be scolded like that by Dad once." I didn't quite understand what she meant, but since she said it was okay, I turned around and sat down on the sofa. After a while, Sebastian's crying stopped. A bit later, my husband and Sebastian came back to the living room. "I'm sorry about earlier. Don't be so selfish next time." Before I could fully grasp the situation, it seemed everything had resolved itself. I asked my husband for an explanation. "I heard a really loud yell. Was everything okay?" Sorry, I must have startled you. It's my unique way of disciplining. First, I yell loudly to make the children realize they've done something wrong. Then, I explain why what they did was unacceptable." "Is there a reason you took him to the children's room?" "I went to the children's room to have a one-on-one talk. It makes it easier for the child to open up about their feelings when it's just the two of us." I felt embarrassed for having worried unnecessarily when my husband took Sebastian away. I also learned that parenting involves not just kindness but sometimes harsh scolding, and I realized I'm still a novice at parenting. Indeed, a father who has raised 5 children so far. But looking at my husband's face, I sensed a bit of sadness. "What's wrong?" "No, I was just thinking that this method was the cause of my 3rd and 4th divorces." He sat on the sofa and sighed softly. This disciplinary approach led to disagreements with his ex-wives, who thought it was too harsh, causing the 3rd and 4th divorces. My husband would initially scold the children harshly. The kids felt somewhat terrified being scolded alone like this, enough to potentially cause trauma. This apparently led his previous wives to tell him he was going too far. This led to disagreements over educational approaches. "What do you think? Do you think this way of doing things is not good?" "When I heard your yelling, I was startled and worried. But since everyone is growing up well and they don't seem to be afraid of you, maybe it's fine. It's not like it happens frequently, just when absolutely necessary, right?" Hearing my words, my husband looked relieved and even smiled a little. When I looked away from him, I caught the eye of our eldest daughter, Maya. It seemed like she was trying to convey something with her eyes. "See? I told you there was nothing to worry about, right?" She probably wanted to say that, but she seemed to sense that it wasn't her place to interrupt our conversation. Truly, our children are well behaved. Turning my gaze back to my husband, he began to talk about our finances. "By the way, are we doing okay with money? Maya and Anna are getting older, and Sebastian will be starting elementary school soon. Things must be costing more." "Well, not that there's much we can do if we're short. We're fine. No problems at all." My husband's eyebrows fell, his expression one of insecurity. In this short time, his face has shown anger, sadness, and worry. His facial muscles are certainly busy. I couldn't help but laugh at the variety of expressions he was showing. He sometimes worries about money. However, he's well aware that we have enough. But his regular checks are probably due to the reasons behind his first and second divorces. Until the second marriage, when there were only 2 kids, there was no worry about money. But it seems his ex-wife took advantage of my husband's good income and busy schedule to frivolously spend the money he earned. I think divorcing her was the right decision. My husband has been divorced 7 times, but in these 3 years, I've come to realize again that it wasn't because he was a bad husband. However, I've come to notice that perhaps it was just that his shortcomings were well hidden. Sebastian, our youngest, is 5, so it's about time for his second mumps vaccination. My husband usually doesn't get involved with childcare, but I mentioned the vaccination just in case. Sebastian's due for his vaccination. In that case, have Maya take him to the usual clinic. That's what we did last time with Chloe, right? I asked her last time, but I don't think it's good to rely on Maya all the time. Vaccinations aren't that frequent. If you think it's bad to rely too much on her, maybe it'd be better if you helped out with household chores? Plus, it's more efficient if someone who's used to it goes. Well, that's true, but... Is my husband in a good mood today? Usually, he would just leave everything to me, but today he shared his detailed thoughts. Unusually, he considered the kids, but this time, I decided to take Sebastian for his vaccination. About Sebastian's vaccination? Oh, Dad told me. I'll take him. No, I know I always rely on Maya, but this time I'll go. I'm taking the day off work tomorrow to handle things around the house. You should go out with your friends after school sometimes. You always come straight home to prepare dinner, right? That's nice, but does Dad know? He said to have Maya take him, but he never says anything anyway, so he won't complain if I go instead. Maya furrowed her brow in thought. She must be concerned about me taking a day off work. Don't worry about work. Even adults need to play hooky once in a while. All right. Maybe I'll take you up on that offer then. Maya agreed to my persuasion while still looking a bit concerned. I was impressed by her, thinking she was considerate about my work, truly a well-raised child. However, instead of taking Sebastian for his vaccination, my eldest daughter, Maya, came up with a strange request. Let's say I took Sebastian for his vaccination, but please don't tell Dad. Why? Well, you know, if Dad finds out you went even though he told me to go, he might get mad, right? I don't think he would, but okay, I understand. Maya still had a furrow between her brows. It was clear she was hiding something. However, prying too much into what she's hiding would be impolite, and since she's always been responsible, I decided not to ask any further. I took a day off work to take Sebastian for his vaccination. Maya had told me about the clinic we always use for the children. Though my husband had also mentioned this clinic for Sebastian's vaccination, I decided to take him to a different one. A junior from my middle school days runs a pediatric clinic in the next town, so I decided to go there. Are you scared of the shot? Not at all. Falling and hurting myself hurts more. I drove Sebastian to the hospital. I was worried that Sebastian might be afraid, but it seemed unnecessary. Long time no see. Indeed. I knew you worked here, but I never had a reason to come to this hospital. This is a pediatric clinic, after all. I ended up having a lively chat with my junior who I hadn't seen in a long time. Behind her, a nurse was smiling, and I suddenly felt a bit embarrassed. All right, let's do this quickly. Don't hold back because it's not you. Sebastian, are you scared of the shot? Not scared at all. Wow, Sebastian is brave. Watching my junior prepare the shot, Sebastian didn't seem scared at all. It's a relief because some children scream and resist. Everything was ready, and the needle of the injection was slowly approaching Sebastian's arm. Sebastian was looking tense now. Just as the needle was about to reach Sebastian's arm, my smartphone suddenly started ringing. Mia, please turn off your smartphone. Sorry, it's from work. Don't mind me, keep going. I forced a smile and stepped outside to return the call. Though I left Sebastian about to get his shot, I wasn't worried since he wasn't scared and the doctor was my junior. After a few minutes, I hurried back to the examination room. Then, my junior was waiting in front of a different room near the previous examination room. "Mia, please come this way." I followed his directions and entered the room. It appeared to be a different examination room. However, there was no one inside. "Where's Sebastian?" My junior entered the room, sat down on a chair, and looked at me with a piercing gaze as if staring me down. "Sebastian is waiting in the previous examination room with a nurse." "What's wrong? You look so serious. Has something bad been discovered about Sebastian?" Standing by the entrance, my junior tapped the chair in front of me, motioning me to sit. I followed his lead and sat down. Not knowing what he was about to say, my heart pounding with tension. After listening to my own heartbeat for a few seconds, my junior spoke gravely. "You need to divorce your husband." "What?" Sorry. I got a bit carried away. From here on, I'm not speaking as a doctor but as a friend. That's why I asked the nurse to leave. Are you ready to hear this?" I was shocked by the unbelievable words from my junior. After hearing this, I left the hospital, dropped off Sebastian at preschool, and went to the city hall to pick up divorce papers. That night, I sat heavily on the living room sofa, arms crossed, waiting for my husband to return. The sound of the key turning in the door lock echoed, followed by the door shutting with a thud, and then the unsuspecting footsteps of my husband approaching the living room. "I'm home." "Huh? What are you doing?" Upon entering the living room, my husband immediately sensed the unusual atmosphere. He also seemed to notice the divorce papers on the table. He remained silent, gauging what I knew and what I might say next, not moving from where he entered. If he wasn't going to move, I had to make the first move. "You've been abusing the children." "Huh? Abuse? What are you talking about?" My husband played dumb in an obvious manner. He was likely trying to figure out his next move while pretending to be ignorant. But no matter what he thought, he was cornered now that I knew everything. Regardless of what he was thinking, I continued forcefully. "I took Sebastian to the hospital today for his vaccination." "You took him?" "Yes, I did. To a different hospital than usual. The doctor there noticed bruises on Sebastian's body." "Huh? Bruises? Kids get bruises all the time, don't they? Were there so many that it was clear it was abuse?" "No, it wasn't clearly abuse, but there were quite a few, mostly in hidden areas like the legs, back, and stomach." "And you suspect me of abuse just because of that? Stop joking around." "It's not just that. When I said I noticed the abuse and wanted to help, Maya told me everything about you." "Maya talked?" My husband's expression changed drastically, and he glared at me like a demon. "Apparently, you restrain yourself from violence when there's a chance the kids might show their bodies in public, right? She really talked, huh? Did you tell Maya to take Sebastian to the usual hospital to hide the abuse?" "The hospital I took him to called and confirmed. The usual hospital knew we have 5 children and lied that it's common for the kids to fight and get bruised." "Did you make Maya say that too? How could you lie like that? It may seem like a war zone at our house every morning, but no one actually lays hands on each other." My husband's eyes glared at me fiercely. It seems he hasn't given up trying to talk his way out of being caught for abuse. In that case, I need to continue revealing what I know and break his spirit. "You've been instilling fear in the children through violence, making them obey you. Maya must have been really scared of you, right? That's why she didn't tell me directly about the abuse but left it to me to take Sebastian to the hospital, hoping I would notice the bruises. Initially, she said she would take him, which must have been terrifying enough for her. It's clear how terribly you've treated those children." "Did you check the other kids too?" "So far, only Maya has told me. There must be bruises on the other children too, right?" I'm afraid to check them later. You must have ordered the children to thoroughly hide their bruises. They wear gym clothes to school to cover the bruises. They change in their own rooms, and they lock the bathroom when they bathe. I thought these were house rules, but it seems they were all to hide the bruises. You had them so well trained in hiding their bodies that I didn't notice. What are you planning to do now? I'll divorce you, and then I'll report you to the police. I thought this would make my husband realize and come begging for help. However, he just laughed and said something I hadn't anticipated. Do you have any proof if you're going to report me to the police? Maya said she would testify, and there's also the medical diagnosis. How much evidential weight do you think a kid's testimony has? And the bruises weren't clearly from abuse, were they? Do you think the police will act on that? Even if they do, the most they'll do is give a warning. My husband smirked, mocking my plan as if it were a joke. Honestly, I also think it's hard to impose a severe punishment on him under the current circumstances. But if he's underestimating me, that works in my favor. We're neither lawyers nor the police, so discussing whether the police will take action here is pointless. Let's talk about the divorce first. You will grant me a divorce, won't you? Yeah, I'll give you a divorce anytime you want. My husband quickly moved to the table and began to fill out the divorce papers with practiced ease. A divorce would only damage me, and it meant nothing to him. He thinks he's in a superior position. After he finished, he tossed the pen down and his true feelings started to leak out. If you can't be a housemaid, then get out. My husband had been marrying repeatedly to have someone take care of the children. Perhaps he also wanted to avoid the social stigma of being a single father. He's good at playing the role of a high-income, kind man. He'll probably deceive another woman soon and find a new wife to act as his maid. Since marriage is a matter of choice, I don't feel sorry for the next woman he deceives. It's their fault for being deceived. So, I also blame myself for being deceived by my husband. However, I can't let the children continue to suffer under him. Above all, I promised Maya that I would help. After my husband finished writing the divorce papers, I quickly collected them. Then, I'll keep these. Can you leave the house tonight? Huh? You should be the one leaving. Why should I? It's late at night, you can't expect me to leave with the children, can you? I don't understand what you mean. It's decided that I'll take the children. Why do you resort to violence? Don't you hate the children? If they were gone, I'd lose my punching bags for stress relief, right? But the older three are already big enough that someone might snitch like this time. I'd keep the younger two, but let the older three go. It's no use fussing. The kids are mine, and I earn way more than you. Besides, I'll make the kids say they want to live with me. He must have said the same thing to his previous wives to take the children away from them. My husband began to look like a real demon to me. It seemed like he could sprout horns, fangs, wings, and a tail at any moment. However, unexpectedly, reinforcements came into the living room. I'm already in high school, so I hope you'll listen to my opinion too. If there's a divorce, I'm going with Mom. I'm going with Mom too. Me too. Sebastian, who do you like more, Mom or Dad? Mom. Me too. You all. You realize what will happen later, right? My husband yelled and glared at the children who had come to my aid. It seems Maya had explained the situation to everyone while my husband and I were fighting, and they had united in solidarity. Normally, the children would have backed down in fear when glared at and yelled at by their father. However, this time, they all stood firm against him. What's this, all of you? I can't deal with this. I'll just leave you guys behind. My husband threw out his parting shot and left the house. His expression just before he left seemed frightened. He probably never expected the children to fight back all at once. After he left, I put the divorce papers in an envelope, entrusted the younger children to Maya and Chloe, and briefly stepped out of the house. I mailed the divorce papers. I finalized the divorce from my husband that same day. The ex-husband was arrested for assault. However, since the only clear evidence was the diagnosis of bruises, which could also be considered normal for children, he was not prosecuted. While I found this slightly unsatisfactory, for me and the children, this was actually the ideal outcome. My ex-husband did not receive a prison sentence, so he is still working today. I need him to keep working because I depend on the child support payments. It's ideal that he continues his job. Having an arrest record for abuse weighs heavily on him, and he reportedly receives cold stares at his company. He must be feeling uncomfortable working there. But he can't easily give up his current income as he needs to pay child support for 5 children until the youngest, Sebastian, graduates from college or gets a job. He might as well continue working under those cold stares for a good while. For me, him struggling at work is just an added bonus. The real goal is living with my 5 children. Hey, make sure you tidy up. It's not as big as the last house. Sorry, I'll clean up now. I moved out of my ex-husband's house and started living in a smaller single-family home with the children. The house is considerably smaller than the previous one, and I feel sorry for the children. The reduced space has intensified the morning chaos. You guys, no fighting. Chloe, did you grab your lunch bag? I already have it, you don't need to say it each time. However, the children's words seemed somewhat softened. Even as they raised their voices, everyone's faces were smiling. Now freed from abuse, the children are probably reclaiming their true selves. From now on, I intend to do my best as their mother.